So the next module will be about artificial intelligence and big data in banking, in digital banking. Hereby I'll be discussing how AI is improving the financial sector, where we're seeing unprecedented investment levels over 10 billion just in 2021 across banking, insurance, and asset management. And what's particular is a scale of transformation ahead. For example, by 2030, AI could unlock for about $1 trillion in value globally. And that is not just my prediction, because it's backed by comprehensive industry analysis. And I want also to emphasize that this isn't future speculation, because 76% of bank executives already consider AI as critical for staying competitive. And they are implementing it right now for predictive analytics, personalized recommendations, and also process automation. And for example, in my experience working with financial institutions, I'm seeing AI and machine learning driving massive cost reductions while simultaneously enabling revenue growth through improved efficiency and also enhanced client experiences and innovative new products. Let me share some concrete examples of how this transformation is happening. Looking at this timeline, we can trace the journey of AI from early mainframes to today's sophisticated systems. And let me highlight the key turning points. It all started in the 1950s with Alan Turing's groundbreaking work. Then we saw the first AI sprint in the 1960s with significant DARPA funding. But however, the 1970s brought our first AI winter due to computing power limitations. And what I find particularly interesting here is how each technological breakthrough enabled new AI capabilities, from the Intel 4004 chip to big data and cloud computing. And these weren't just incremental improvements, though, they were fundamental shifts. And the modern AI renaissance really kicked off in the late of 2000s, while when developments like deep learning and GPU accelerations happened. And for example, I was particularly impressed by milestones like Google's AlphaGo victory and Apple's Siri launch, for example. And this rise of IoT and cloud infrastructure has created an unprecedented environment for AI development, which brings us to where we are today. And now let's examine what's driving AI's current success compared to previous eras. Three key factors stand out in my analysis. First, technological advancement has given us both abundant data and affordable processing power, like resources that were sorely lacking during past AI winters. And secondly, today's AI development is led by engineers building practical applications, not just academics conducting research. And for example, in my work with industry partners, I've seen countless successful use cases across financial services. But however, we face important challenges ahead. For example, current AI lacks true abstraction ability. It can't easily transfer learning between domains, and we also need more efficient deep learning techniques and better unstructured learning capabilities. And these limitations present both challenges and opportunities for the financial sector, which I will discuss in more detail shortly. When we discuss AI in finance, I find it helpful to break down its capabilities in a clear hierarchy. For example, looking at this pyramid diagram, let me explain how each level builds upon the others. At the foundation, we have interaction. That is AI's ability to communicate with humans through various channels. And for example, in banking, this manifests as chatbots and virtual assistants, say, helping customers with their queries. But moving up, we see decision-making and customization capabilities. And for example, in my experience working with financial institutions, these layers are crucial for tasks like credit scoring and also portfolio management, where, for example, AI can generate rules from data and applies them to specific cases. And near the top, Foresight represents AI's predictive capabilities, like something I've seen revolutionize risk assessment and market analysis. Also, like, for example, pattern detection at the peak enables AI to spot anomalies in transactions and identify market trends. And now let me explain how AI sits at the center of a technological ecosystem. For example, looking at this diagram, you can see AI isn't developing in isolation because it's deeply interconnected with the other breakthrough technologies. And for example, on the left, we have cloud computing providing two crucial elements for AI, like vast data storage and immense processing power. And for example, in my work with financial institutions, I've seen how cloud infrastructure has made sophisticated AI applications accessible even to smaller banks. And moving to the right, blockchain technology offers something revolutionary, that is immutable data sources that don't need centralized verification. And this is transforming how we think about smart contracts, for example, and also automated decision-making in finance. And what particularly excites me is the potential of quantum computing here, because these advanced computation methods will allow AI to tackle problems that are currently beyond our reach. For example, you can think about complex portfolios optimization that could happen in seconds rather than hours. And now let's go through this transformation in how financial institutions build competitive advantage. And what we're seeing is a fundamental shift from traditional success factors to AI-driven capabilities. For example, in the past, financial institutions thrived on the scale of their assets and standardized mass production approaches also. But however, I've observed that in today's environment, the scale of data and ability to deliver tailored experiences are becoming far more critical. And one of the most interesting shifts I've seen in the relationship management, because, for example, traditional institutions relied on exclusive personal relationships, but now we are moving toward AI-powered optimization and matching system that can digitally connect parties more efficiently. And what particularly excites me is how customer retention is evolving, because, for example, instead of relying on high switching costs to keep customers, institutions are now focusing on continuous improving product performance through, say, AI in order to deliver superior outcomes. And by this slide, I would like to explain how AI is reshaping the financial services ecosystem in three critical dimensions. And all of these changes are more profound than anything I've seen in my career. First, we are witnessing a complete transformation of both front and back office operations. For example, in my work with financial institutions, I've seen how AI is automating complex processes that once required significant human intervention. And the second dimension, which I find particularly fascinating, involves major shifts in market structure and regulation. And therefore, AI is challenging our traditional understanding of how financial markets should operate and be governed. And perhaps most importantly, and this is something I discuss frequently with industry leaders, AI is raising critical societal challenges, I would say, that we must address. And for example, these include questions about privacy, fairness, and the changing nature of work in finance. The next slide. And what we're seeing now is a fundamental transformation in financial operations that goes far beyond traditional automation. Let me explain this four key shifts that are shaping the industry. The first shift is particularly operations are evolving from cost centers into profit centers. For example, in my experience, I've seen how banks turning their AI-enabled operations into external services, and this not only improves their capabilities faster, but also creates new revenue streams as other institutions become customers and consumers of these services. And the second transformation involves customer loyalty, because instead of competing solely on price, which often leads to destructive race to the bottom, AI enables institutions to differentiate themselves in innovative ways. For example, I've seen banks use AI to create unique personalized experiences that keep customers engaged. And looking at the third point, we are moving toward what I call self-driving finance. For example, you can imagine your financial life running automatically with AI making intelligent decisions to improve your outcomes. And this isn't science fiction, because I'm already seeing early versions of this in automated portfolio management and also smart savings applications. Well, and building on our previous discussion about operational changes, let me explain now three critical structural shifts that AI is creating in financial markets. And I find these changes particularly as they are reshaping the entire competitive landscape. First, we're seeing what I call a bifurcation of market structure. As AI reduces search and comparison costs for customers, financial institutions are being pushed toward two extremes: either becoming large-scale players with significant data advantages, or positioning themselves as agile niche innovators. And for example, in my work with banks, I've observed that the middle ground is becoming increasingly difficult to maintain. And second, we are entering an era of what I term uneasy data alliances. For example, every financial institution is competing for diverse data sources, leading to complex partnerships even among competitors. For example, while teaching at universities, I often use the example of banks sharing fraud detection data. So it's beneficial for everyone, but requires careful management of strategic risks. And the third shift involves what I call the power of data regulators. And for example, in my discussions with industry leaders, I also emphasize how regulations around data privacy and portability are becoming as crucial as traditional financial regulation, because these rules shape how institutions can deploy AI and compete in the market. And now, let me share with you two fundamental challenges that I believe will determine the success of AI adoption in financial services. And these aren't just technical issues, so you should understand because they touch upon the very core of how we structure our organizations and make ethical decisions. And the first challenge, which I see as particularly urgent, is what I call the talent transformation dilemma. For example, in my work, I've observed that the ability to transform and upskill talent alongside AI implementation often becomes the critical bottleneck. for financial institutions. And this isn't just about hiring data scientists, for example, it's about transforming entire workforces to work efficiently with the AI systems. And the second challenge involves new ethical dilemmas that I find absolutely fascinating. For example, when an AI system makes a lending decision, the question is who is responsible if that decision shows unintended bias, for example. And in my discussions with the bank executives, I found that these ethical gray areas often make institutions hesitant to fully embrace AI's transformative potential. And what makes these challenges particularly complex is their interconnected nature, because we need people who understand both the technical and ethical implications of AI systems. Well, and now let me explain a transformation I'm seeing in how financial institutions handle their back office operations. For example, looking at these two models side by side shows us a fundamental shift in thinking about AI capabilities. For example, in the traditional model on the left, here on the slide, institutions try to develop AI excellence across all their processes independently. And for example, from my experience working with banks, this approach leads to what I call the capability gap, where some processes become highly advanced while others lag significantly behind. And this also creates operational inefficiencies and vulnerabilities to competitors. And the new as a service model on the right of the slide represents a paradigm shift I find particularly fascinating, because instead of keeping AI capabilities internal, here institutions are beginning to offer the advanced processes as a services to the other players in the market. And so you can think about it like this. If you are developing an exceptional AI-driven fraud detection system, why not offer it to the other banks, for example? And the next slide. And hereby, I would like to discuss how AI is changing the way financial institutions differentiate themselves on the market. Because we are witnessing a shift from traditional competitive advantages to new AI-enabled differentiators. Well, let me start with the customization. Traditionally, banks offer standardized products with minor variations. But through AI, we can now optimize financial outcomes by providing truly personalized recommendations and advice truly. For example, in my work with financial institutions, I've seen AI systems analyze thousands of data points in order to create uniquely tailored products offering for each customer. And the second differentiator involves capturing attention, because in today's digital world, engaging users goes far beyond traditional banking interactions, because AI, for example, enables institutions to maintain ongoing, meaningful dialogues with customers across multiple touch points. And for example, I find it how this continuous engagement helps banks retain customers more effectively than traditional methods. Well, the next slide. And now let's go through how AI is improving the customer's experience in financial services. For example, looking at this diagram, you can see the three main components like users, a self-driving agent, and products. And how this interact to create a seamless financial experience. For example, on the left, we have users who interact with what we call a self-driving agent. And this agent acts as an intelligent intermediary that can handle both complex and routine financial decisions. For example, for complex decisions like home purchases or retirement planning or corporate financing, the agent provides sophisticated advice above what we call the level of perception. And below this level, and this is particularly exciting, the agent automatically handles routine decisions. For example, you can think about treasury management or bill payments and even loan refinancing, all happening without requiring constant customer attention. This agent connects, in other words, with various financial products on the right, provided by the different institutions. Next slide. And hereby, I want to explore three fundamental ways that AI is enabling what we call self-driven finance. And this concept represents a paradigm shift in how financial services operate and deliver value to customers. First, let's discuss empowered platforms. These platforms are revolutionary because they give customers unprecedented control over their financial decisions. Just like how you might compare prices across different online stores, these platforms allow customers to easily compare and switch between financial products and providers. For example, I've seen this capability transform how people make financial decisions. And the second key enabler is what we call mass advice and customization. For example, thanks to sophisticated data analysis, we are moving beyond the one-size-fits-all approach. That is, financial advice is becoming increasingly personalized, and products are being tailored to individual needs. And for example, in my experience working with financial institutions, this level of customization was simply impossible before AI. And finally, and perhaps most excitingly, we have continuous optimization because, for example, you can think of it as having a tireless financial assistant working 24/7 below your level of perception, making small but important decisions in order to optimize your financial position, say. And now, let me explain how AI is changing both customer behavior and the economics of financial services. And I also find this transformation particular because it's happening on multiple fronts simultaneously. Well, now let's start with platforms and customer behavior. Therefore, with AI-powered platforms, we are seeing a significant shift in how customers make decisions about financial products. And these platforms are becoming increasingly aggressive in helping customers find so-called low-cost products. So you can think about it the following way. For example, when a price is the primary factor in choosing a financial product, AI can instantly analyze thousands of options to find the best deal. And for example, I've observed this dramatically changing how customers shop for mortgages and also insurance. But it's not just about price, because AI is also improving how we match customers with niche products. For example, the algorithms are becoming remarkably good at understanding unique customer needs and finding specialized products that perfectly fit those requirements. And for example, in my research, I've seen cases where AI has helped customers discover financial product they didn't even know existed. And perhaps most importantly, AI is transforming how new financial offerings are built and scaled. And for example, financial institutions can now use AI services in order to establish complete back office operations with unprecedented efficiency. And this means overall, we're seeing a democratization of financial product creation. Like, for example, smaller firms can now compete with established players in ways they weren't possible before. And now let me explain this shift we're seeing in the financial services market structure due to AI adoption. And this diagram here perfectly illustrates the transformation that's currently underway. well, and I'd like to walk you through the three major changes we're observing. Well, looking at the top of the diagram, you can see today's market structure with its three distinct segments, like scale players, regional or mid-sized firms, and niche players. And now, what's particularly interesting is how AI is reshaping this landscape into what we see in the bottom portion of the diagram. First, let's look at the scale players. So, what we are witnessing is a consolidation trend where these large institutions are merging to create even larger entities. And this is happening because AI implementation requires significant investment. And also, larger players can better leverage economies of scale in AI development. And in the middle segment, we are seeing something quite dramatic. For example, the gradual disappearance of mid-sized firms. For example, from my research and experience in the industry, these firms are finding themselves in an increasingly difficult position because they lack both the scale advantages of larger players and the agility of smaller firms, making simply saying, making it harder for them to compete effectively in AI-driven market. And on the right side, we are observing proliferation of niche and agile firms. And these innovative companies are leveraging AI to create specialized services and products, often focusing on specific market segments or unique customer needs. And their ability to quickly adapt and implement AI solutions in targeted areas gives them a competitive advantage. Next slide. And building on our previous discussion about market restructuring, let me explain the changes we are seeing and how financial institutions are evolving at both ends of spectrum. For example, my research and industry experience have shown that this transformation is creating two distinct organizational models. At one end, we're seeing aggressive competition leading to consolidation among scale players. And these large institutions are merging to create even more powerful entities and pooling their resources to invest in sophisticated AI technologies and data infrastructure. For example, I have observed that this consolidation isn't just about size, it's about creating more efficient technology-driven organization that can leverage AI across massive customer bases. And in the middle of the market, we are witnessing a significant shift as mid-tier players. Those are being forced to consolidate to find specified niches. And this is particularly interesting because these firms are discovering that their traditional business models are becoming increasingly unsustainable in an AI-driven market. And perhaps most excitingly, we are seeing a new phenomenon at the other end of the spectrum, which is the reduced cost of entry enabled by AI and cloud technologies also, because they are giving rise to a new generation of product manufacturers, because these agile firms are able, therefore, to create and launch innovative financial products with remarkable speed and efficiency. Next slide. And now let me explain two critical imperatives that financial institutions must address simultaneously as AI continues to reshape our industry. For example, looking at this diagram, at this picture on the slide, you can see a duality in the strategic approach required for success. On the left side, we have the first imperative, being first and best in AI development. Let me tell you why this is crucial, because from my experience working with leading financial institutions, I've observed that early adopters of AI technology gain compound advantages through, I would say, what we call virtuous feedback cycles. And these institutions also collect more data attract more customers, and continuously improve their AI models, making it increasingly difficult for competitors to catch up. And for example, I've seen this pattern play out repeatedly in areas like algorithms, trading, and also personalized banking services. But however, and this is equally important, on the right side of this picture, we see the second imperative, like collaboration with multiple stakeholders. For example, in my years of research in AI implementation finance, I've learned that no institution can fully succeed in isolation, because these technologies' potential can only be unlocked through extensive partnerships. Like, think of regulators, technology providers, other financial institutions as well, and even the public sector. For example, I have witnessed successful AI implementations in fraud detection that say relied heavily on collaborative efforts between banks or regulators or even technology firms. Well, about your last question, Joseph Daniel. So once again, I will tell you everything in detail at the end of the last lecture on 15th of December, if you do not mind, please. We keep going. The next slide. Let's go through 4 groundbreaking ways that AI is streamlining financial processes, and I'm going to share some real-world examples that illustrate these transformations. First, let's look at just-in-time lending, especially exemplified by Upstart, for example. This company has really revolutionized lending by creating an automated system for both personal and business loans. And what is particularly is how they have eliminated the traditional waiting periods. For example, their AI can make lending decisions almost instantaneously, and something that would have been unthinkable just a few years ago. And moving to underwriting and pricing efficiency, we can see Cytora's innovative approach, for example, because they have developed AI-powered risk modeling that's transforming how we assess and price financial products. And for example, from my experience working with similar systems, I can tell you that these technologies reducing underwriting time from days to minutes, while also significantly improving accuracy. And in the compliance and reporting space, for example, we can consider Alation, which is doing something remarkable with intelligent data cataloging. Because, for example, their AI system automates what used to be labor-intensive compliance processes. Because, for example, I've seen firsthand how this type of automation can reduce, say, compliance costs by up to 60%, while simultaneously improving accuracy and consistency. And finally, let's look at the customer acquisition account setup. For example, Anfida, the company, has developed an impressive ID verification system using image recognition AI. And this technology is making account opening seamlessly and secure. And so you can imagine opening a bank account in minutes rather than days, with even better security than traditional methods. And all these examples demonstrate how AI isn't just improving existing processes, it's just reimagining how financial services can operate. For example, I find it particular because these improvements compound over time as the AI systems learn and become more efficient. The next slide. Well, now I would like to share with you how AI is solving one of the most persistent challenges in financial services, which is the trade-off between personalization and cost efficiency. Well, let's go through 4 revolutionary approaches that are transforming customer service and advisory capabilities. First, let's examine how AI is enabling direct customer advice in real time. For example, take a look at this AI financial advice platforms. It's providing sophisticated financial guidance to retail customers instantly. And the question is, what makes these particularly remarkable? That is that it can analyze a customer's entire financial situation and provide personalized recommendations at friction of the traditional cost. Please remember, when these kind of services would have required hours of human analysis and multiple client meetings. And next, let's consider how Allstate is enhancing their sales agents' capabilities with AI chatbot support. This is an example of human AI collaboration. For example, rather than replacing agents, the AI acts as a powerful assistant, providing them with instant access to information and supporting their decision-making processes. For example, from my experience working with similar systems, this can increase agent productivity by up to 40% even. And for example, looking at customer loyalty, I would say that Mogul has developed an innovative automated rewards program manager. And this system can analyze, for example, customer behavior patterns and automatically customize incentives for each individual. And the brilliant part is how it continuously learns and adapts its reward strategies based on customer responses. And finally, there is a company, Right Capital, which is improving how advisors work with their clients through highly personalized insights. For example, their system can process vast amounts of client data in order to generate ad hoc analysis that would have taken days to prepare manually. For example, I've seen this type of technology transform advisor relationships by allowing advisors to focus on high-value client interactions while the AI handles the complex analysis. Next slide. And now let me explain how AI is improving decision-making across different aspects of financial services. And I will share some real-world applications that demonstrate this transformation. First, let's look at default prediction. For example, take Zest Finance, which has developed an AI-powered credit modeling system that is changing how we assess credit risk. And what makes this particularly interesting is that their AI can analyze hundreds of variables simultaneously, far more than traditional credit models. And for example, in my experience working with similar systems, I've seen default prediction accuracy improve by up to 30% compared to conventional methods. And moving to data correlation, for example, we can consider Wilmot ML, machine learning, which is doing something remarkable with macroeconomic trend identification through machine learning. For example, their system can discover hidden patterns and relationships between different economic indicators that human analysis might never spot. And you can think of it as having a brilliant economist who can instantaneously analyze decades of global economic data in order to find meaningful connections. And in M&A space, we can refine Cognetics, for example, which is using machine intelligence in order to transform how we approach deal identification and analysis. And for example, their AI can process vast amounts of corporate data to identify potential M&A opportunities and also assess their viability. For example, from my research, this kind of AI-driven approach can reduce deal screening time by up to 70% while identifying opportunity that might be missed through traditional analysis. And finally, let's examine JP Morgan's innovative use of AI for trade execution also. because they have developed systems that can predict price impact and trading costs with remarkable accuracy. And what's particular about this is how it can dynamically adjust trading strategies in real time, just based on market conditions, and something that would be impossible for human traders to do at this scale. Well, the next slide. Now let me share some remarkable statistics about AI investment in financial services that really highlight the transformative movement we are experiencing in our industry. For example, the numbers I'm about to share demonstrate the unprecedented scale and speed of AI adoption. And first and foremost, we've seen AI investment in finance surge to over $10 billion globally in 2021. And this isn't just incremental growth. It represents a fundamental shift in how financial institutions are approaching technology investment. And for example, when I started studying fintech trends a decade ago, these numbers would have seemed impossible. And what particular is the adoption rate we are projecting. For example, by 2025, we expect 75% of financial institutions to have adopted AI across their business lines. And this widespread implementation suggests we are moving beyond experimentation into full-scale deployment. For example, I've personally observed this transition in many institutions where AI is moving from pilot projects to core business operations. And also the impact is perhaps more visible in algorithmic trading, where I would say AI-driven systems now account for over 70% of daily US equity trading volume. And this also represents a complete transformation of how markets operate. Because, for example, when I first started teaching about market microstructure, then human traders dominated the exchanges. And now AI systems are making millions of trading decisions every second. And also the current leading applications of AI are particularly interesting because personalized recommendations and predictive analytics and automated processes and enhanced risk management taking place. And what makes these use cases so powerful is how they combine to create a comprehensive transformation of financial services, because I've seen institutions implement these technologies and achieve remarkable improvements in both efficiency and customer satisfaction. And now I would also like to explore 4 fundamental ways that AI is improving their banking industry. And this transformation is particular because it touches every aspect of banking operations, from customer interactions to back office processes. Well, let's start with credit scoring and lending, which is, as to me, has undergone a remarkable evolution with AI. Traditional credit assessment used to rely on a handful of standardized metrics, but AI now enables banks to analyze hundreds of data points simultaneously. For example, I remember when lending decisions took days or weeks, and now AI can assess creditworthiness almost instantly while being more accurate than ever before. For example, client profiling has become extraordinarily sophisticated through AI also, because instead of broad demographic segments, bank can now create detailed dynamic profiles for each customer. So you can think of it as having a dedicated personal banker who remembers every transaction, preference, and even interaction, but at a scale that can serve millions of customers simultaneously. And the insights we can derive from this data are transforming how banks understand and serve their clients. And when it comes to predictive analytics, AI is driving and giving banks unprecedented foresight, because by analyzing patterns across vast databases, banks can now anticipate customer needs and market trends and potential risks with remarkable accuracy. For example, I've seen banks use these capabilities to proactively offer services to customers just before they need them. It's like having a crystal ball that actually works. Well, and we are now, we need to go for a break, if you don't mind. And I will answer your last question after the break, please. So we are having a break now for 10 minutes.
Excuse me, Professor.
Yes.
Thank you that you're still here. I just, before the pause starts, I was wondering whether there will be a test today, some kind of test.
Today,
on the
no.
lecture.
No,
Today,
just
no.
at the end of the last lecture on 15th of December.
Next week.
Yes, sure.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor.
Yeah,
Have a good evening.
not at all. Well, we are getting back. Do you hear me well?
Yes, Professor.
Yeah, great. Okay, turning back to your last question. There are many countries where technology has not so advanced, and the economies are not performing well. Well, my probable answer to this question, and thank you beforehand. The question is very good indeed. There's such a very trending thing, and maybe you've heard about that, like Edge AI. AI on the edge. In other words, that is a AI model working on the device, on the final consumer device, for example. Such manufacturers, for example, as Apple or the others, so for example, IBM or the other hardware developers, for example, they will probably export their technologies and their edge AI implemented and installed on their equipment to the third countries, so-called developing countries, for example, who are not able to develop their own profound AI models. They will for sure import these edge implemented into the equipment AI models, pre-developed AI models. And there is also an advancing market of the pre-developed, pre-trained AI models trading. What I mean, for example, a developed company, or the company, for example, established in one of the developed countries like USA, for example, or in Russia. So they developed and trained a profound AI model for, say, personalization of the financial products for clients, for customers. They might sell these pre-trained models to the banking institutions, for example, in the developing country. And therefore, this developing country, they will get a predefined, pre-trained model that can be used, for example, for their purposes in order to increase the economic efficiency of their performance, of their activities. So that is one of the variants, I would say. And what is another variant? For example, the spread out of the AI platforms, core platforms, I would say. So for the developing countries, or for the companies in developing countries, there is a possibility to develop and train their own AI models, but not from the scratch, but on the base of the big AI platform that could give them possibilities to develop these kind of models, specified models from the scratch. And also, I would like you to pay your attention on that. The market for specified AI models is very trending nowadays. Not a general AI models, but specified AI models, and that is therefore there is a very good chance for the developing countries that do not have the proper amount of hardware equipment in order to train general AI models. There is a good chance for them to advance their technologies in specific industries, for example, and specific activities. Those are the most important for them, for example, but not such important for the companies in the other countries. And so there is a trend. So because of that, I do not worry, frankly speaking, about the spreading out of these kind of technologies. I think they will democratize themselves by default. So, and thank you for your question. Well, we keep going. Yeah, so it means that I also facilitate the micro and necessities. Yeah, sure. By the way, there was a report of the MIT some time ago that tells us that AI is not very successful. AI implementation in the big companies and international, for example, and also in developed countries, is not so successful so far because of lack of specification, and that is why specification is a key for the successful development of AI. And that is why I believe that this kind of technology, specified manner, will be implemented in all countries all over the world. Not equally, but semi-equally, I would say. Yeah, thank you very much. So we keep going because we have a lack of time. Nevertheless, thank you for your question. And now let me explain how AI is reshaping banking profitability through 4 key transformations that are happening simultaneously in the industry. And what makes this particular is how these changes are interconnecting to create entirely new business models. First, we are seeing a remarkable blurring of the line between deposits and lending. For example, traditional banking used to treat this as separate services, but AI is enabling what I call cash flow as a service. For example, through real-time analysis of customer finances, banks can now proactively manage cash flow and lending needs simultaneously. For example, I've seen this approach reduce customer borrowing costs while increasing bank profitability. And the second transformation is equally. Lending products are becoming smaller and more agile. For example, instead of one-size-fits-all loans, so-called, AI enables banks to create highly customized lending products, for example, tailored to specific use cases. And for example, I've observed the banks developing microloans that automatically adjust their terms based on the customer's real-time financial behavior. However, there is a challenging aspect we need to consider, and that is the cost of funds in lending that is increasing as deposits become more expensive to service. And this has putting pressure on net interest margins, which leads banks to rely more heavily on AI for efficiency and gains and new revenue streams also. For example, in my research, I found that banks successfully using AI can offset these margin pressures through improved operational efficiency. And I would like also to discuss a critical challenge in financial services. That is the lack of timely, clear, and relevant financial information for customers. And first of all, let me highlight several key solutions that AI brings to this problem. First, we're seeing developments in how third-party data, particularly from social media or mobile devices, can provide deeper insights into customer behavior and needs. And this allows us to create a more complete picture of our customers' financial lives. And I'm particularly excited about how AI enables us to connect advisory services directly to customers' daily reality. For example, by analyzing transaction patterns and financial behaviors in real time, we can provide personalized guidance exactly when it's needed. And what's truly revolutionary is how AI helps achieve a genuine single customer view. And for example, by intelligently scanning data across different internal silos, we can finally see the complete financial story of each customer. And this has been a holy grail in banking for decades. And process automation is another game changer. For example, it dramatically improves connectivity and accuracy across different business functions and accounts. And perhaps most importantly, AI enables continuous monitoring of accounts across multiple institutions, allowing us to proactively alert customers to opportunities or potential issues. And now let me share with you how AI is improving the loan origination process, which has been traditionally one of the most time-consuming aspects of banking operations. And for example, in my work with lending institutions, I've seen firsthand how natural language processing is transforming document handling. And this technology is particularly because it allows for rapid error-free reading of documents, which dramatically improves activities like information verification or user identification or approvals, for example. And what I find most of all is how we are now able to dynamically source data from multiple disparate sources. For example, think about it. Instead of asking customers to manually enter information that already exists in various databases, AI can automatically gather and verify this data. And this is opening up entirely new possibilities for digital onboarding and servicing channels that can scale efficiently. And the impact on customer experience is remarkable. And what used to make days or even weeks can now be accomplished in minutes or hours. For example, I remember when customers had to fill out countless forms with the same information over and over, and those days are rapidly becoming history thanks to AI-driven automation. And the next slide. And now I want to explore how AI is transforming unsecured lending, in particular in how we assess and price loans based on their intended purposes. And this represents a fundamental shift in lending practices. So let me explain how third-party data analysis is improving our understanding of creditworthiness. Traditional methods looked primarily at credit scores and income, but now we can analyze how specific transactions and behaviors affect an individual's ability to repay. For example, we can see patterns in spending behavior that might indicate strong financial management, even if traditional credit metrics are limited. But concerning this technology is the ability to make automated decisions in real time. And this isn't just about speed, because it's about offering tailored lending solutions at exact moment of need. And you can, for example, imagine a customer making a large purchase, or our AI systems can instantly assess their creditworthiness and offer customized repayment terms right at the point of purchase. And this level of customization was simply impossible before AI, because we are moving from a one-size-fits-all approach to truly personalized lending solutions. And the implications for both lenders and borrowers are profound, because better risk assessment, more appropriate pricing, and ultimately a better access to credit for qualified borrowers. And now let me go deeper into a critical challenge in lending that AI is helping us solve, which is the problem of inaccurate loan adjudication. And this is an issue I've seen cause significant financial impact across the industry, both in terms of default costs and missed opportunities. And for example, the real breakthrough comes from advanced credit decision models powered by machine learning. And for example, what makes these models particularly powerful is their ability to improve lenders' confidence in extending credit. For example, by analyzing vast amounts of data and identifying subtle patterns that traditional models might miss, we are seeing remarkable improvements in both reducing defaults and expanding our lending reach. And what I find most revolutionary about this approach is how we are using alternative data sources. For example, instead of relying solely on traditional credit scores, we can now assess creditworthiness in segments where conventional data might be scarce or even unavailable. And you can think about young professionals just starting their careers, or entrepreneurs with non-traditional income streams. And these are segments that historically might have been underserved by traditional lending models. And the impact here is twofold, because we are not only making better decisions about who to lend, but we are also opening up access to credit for qualified individuals who might have been overlooked by traditional scoring methods. And this represents a fundamental shift in how we think about credit assessment and risk management in lending. And now, let me share with you one of the most transformations happening in the payments industry, which is how AI is improving our approach to fraud prevention and data insights. And what's particularly here is how data has become the crown jewel on payments business. For example, through AI analysis, we are unlocking unprecedented opportunities to create new insights that were previously hidden in our vast data repositories. For example, I've seen firsthand how this is transforming business models and also creating new revenue streams. For example, we are witnessing a remarkable acceleration in the shift from cash to mobile payments across all markets. And what makes this transition particularly powerful is how AI enables us to bundle digital payments with value-added services. And for instance, we can now offer real-time spending analytics, or personalized rewards, and even predictive budgeting tools, all powered by AI. And also, one of the most significant breakthroughs I've observed in real time is real-time fraud prevention. For example, the traditional challenge with real-time payments was always the risk factor, but AI-led patterns detection has made remarkable progress in combating financial crime. Now, for example, our systems can now detect and prevent fraud in milliseconds. And making real-time payments both fast and secure. And perhaps most is how AI is making payment experiences virtually invisible to customers. For example, automated fraud detection and handling mean customers no longer need to verify routine transactions or respond to false positives, as this invisible payment experience represents the future of our industry. And now I would like to share a real-world example of how AI is transforming credit risk assessment and mortgage lending. For example, this case study illustrates the practical application of neural networks in solving a complex financial problem. And first of all, let's go through how one major bank implemented this technology. So they developed a sophisticated neural network model that analyzes, say, traditional customer data points like income levels, existing loan payments history, and also credit records. And what makes this particularly interesting is how the neural network processes these familiar data points in an entirely new way. Because the beauty of this approach lies in the model's training process. For example, the bank used historical data to teach neural network and constantly fine-tuning it using validation data set. And this iterative process is crucial because it helps minimize classification errors. For example, in other words, it reduces the chances of either wrongly approving risky loans or denying good candidates. And the next slide. And now let me share some remarkable results from the neural network credit scoring implementation I just described. For example, the outcomes demonstrate why I'm so excited about the AI's potential in credit risk assessment. For example, the model's performance exceeded our highest expectations. When compared to traditional credit scoring approaches, we saw a 12% reduction in defaults. That's a significant improvement. But what's even more impressive here is that this came alongside an 8% increase in approval rates. And this demonstrates how AI can simultaneously improve both risk management and business growth. And the efficiency gains were particularly striking because the neural network performs credit assessment in real time, requiring minimal human oversight. And this represents a fundamental shift from traditional credit assessment processes that often required extensive manual review and deliberation. And in someone who worked with traditional credit scoring systems, I can tell you that this is really transformative. And now I would like to explore three fundamental ways AI is transforming investment management. And I will walk you through each component illustrated on the slide. Well, let's start with new alpha signals, represented by that alpha symbol on the left. AI is enabling us to discover previously hidden patterns and correlations in market data that can generate excess returns. As someone who's worked with traditional investment strategies, I can tell you that this is revolutionary. And we are now able to analyze vast amounts of unstructured data in order to identify market inefficiency that were previously impossible to detect. And for example, looking at the middle graph showing portfolio modeling and optimization, you can see the efficient frontier curve for Best Buy and AT&T also. And this illustrates how AI helps us achieve optimal portfolio allocation by dynamically balancing risk and return. And what is particular is how these models can adapt in real time to changing market conditions, and something that was computational and impossible just a few years ago. And for example, the third transformation shown by those colorful grouped figures on the right is client segmentation. The matter is that AI allows us to move beyond traditional demographic-based segmentation to create truly personalized investment strategies. And we can now analyze hundreds of client characteristics simultaneously in order to identify subtle patterns in investment preferences and risk tolerance that help us serve our clients better. And these three capabilities working together represent a fundamental shift in how we approach investment management also. And this is not just about doing things faster, it's about doing things we never could before. And now let's go through 4 transformative ways that AI is changing how investment managers operate and compete in today's market. First, we're seeing a shift toward hyper-personalization of investments. For example, using AI, we can now ingest and analyze unprecedented amounts of customer data to create truly personalized investment strategies. And this goes far beyond traditional risk profiling. And we are talking about portfolios that reflect individual values and goals and also circumstances in ways we never could before. And another remarkable transformation I'm observing is in passive investment products. For example, these are developing what I call active characteristics as AI models become sophisticated enough to mimic complex investment strategies or even develop their own approaches. And you can think about it that the traditional active-passive divide is becoming increasingly blurred. And by this slide, I would like to discuss a trend in asset management that's improving how we find investment opportunities. So we use of alternative data. And this represents a fundamental shift in how we discover market insights and generate alpha. Well, let me share some compelling statistics. That is, half of all asset managers are now experimenting with alternative data sources. And when I say alternative data, I'm talking about non-traditional information sources like satellite imagery or retail parking lots, for example, global shipping data, and even e-commerce transaction patterns. And this goes far beyond traditional financial statements and market data. And what makes this particular is how AI can access and analyze these diverse data streams simultaneously. For example, you can think about it, and we can now track retail foot traffic from space and monitor also global supply chains in real time and analyze consumer spend and patterns as they happen. And each of these data points provides a unique perspective for the company's performance. And for example, the real power comes from how these novel data sets help uncover new market signals and alpha opportunities as well. Because we are able now to identify market trends weeks or even months before they appear in traditional financial reports. And for example, by analyzing parking lot occupancy or mobile device activity around stores, predict retail revenue before official earnings announcements. And now let me share a real-world example of how AI is transforming stock picking at a major hedge fund. And this case demonstrates the practical application of deep learning in investment management. And it's quite remarkable. I'm talking about a 40 million hedge fund that developed a sophisticated deep learning model for stock selection. And what makes this particularly interesting is the innovative use of alternative data sources. For example, the fund trained their AI to analyze 3 distinct types of data: satellite imagery of store parking lots, web traffic patterns, and credit card transaction data. And think of it as having thousands of digital eyes monitoring retail businesses 24/7. And what's especially clever about their approach is how they use this data to predict company performance. For example, the AI model can essentially count cars in parking lots via satellite imagery and also track online shopping partners through web traffic and also monitor actual purchasing behavior through anonymized credit card data. And this creates a comprehensive picture of retail activity well before official earnings announcements. And the beauty of the system is its ability to process and analyze this massive data set simultaneously, because something that would be impossible for human analysis to do manually. And by combining these different data streams, the model can identify patterns and trends that might indicate changes in company performance before they become apparent through traditional financial reporting. And now, let's go through the remarkable implementation and outcomes of the AI stock picking model I just described. The results demonstrate that the transformative power of combining alternative data with deep learning in investment management. First, let's look at the model's training foundation. The AI was trained on 3 years of comprehensive data covering 5,000 retail chains and outlets. And this included satellite imagery, web traffic patterns, and purchase transaction data. And what makes this particularly powerful is the breadth and depth of the training data set, because it essentially created a digital map of retail behavior across the entire sector. And the most outcome was the model's ability to identify revenue changes even 8 weeks ahead of Wall Street forecasts. And for example, you can think about the comprehensive advantage this provides. That is, while traditional analysts are still waiting for quarterly reports, this AI system is already detecting shifts in consumer behavior that will impact company performance. And also, the performance numbers are truly impressive. For example, the $800 million fund using this model achieved a 9% outperformance compared to the S&P benchmark over an 18-month period. And this put this in perspective. And this level of consistent outperformance is extremely difficult to achieve using traditional analysis methods. And now I would like to explain what makes machine learning such force in finance and why it's different from traditional programming approaches. At its core, machine learning is a subset of artificial intelligence that has a unique capability. That is, it can improve its performance through experience. And unlike conventional computer programs that follow fixed rules, machine learning systems can adapt and enhance their capabilities as they're exposed to more data. And now let me put this in perspective. For example, imagine having an analyst who gets better at their job every single day, learning from each new piece of information they encounter. And what makes this particularly powerful in finance is the ability to process and learn from massive volumes of examples. And these systems can detect subtle patterns in data that human analysts might miss. And for example, they continuously refine their analytical models or predictions and even decisions over time. And for instance, a machine learning system analyzing credit applications doesn't just apply fixed rules, but it learns from every previous credit decision and its outcome to make increasingly accurate assessments. And for example, the practical impact of this is self-improvement capability is remarkable because we are seeing unprecedented precision in areas ranging from image recognition for document processing to generate personalized investment recommendations. And each interaction with data makes the system more sophisticated and accurate. And now let's go through the three fundamental types of machine learning that are transforming financial services. And this diagram illustrates the distinct approaches each type uses to learn from data. For example, starting with supervised learning on the left, this is where we train our models using labeled data. And you can think of it as learning with a teacher who provides correct answers. For example, in finance, we use this for two main tasks. Classification, where we might categorize transactions as fraudulent or legitimate, and regression, where we predict continuous values like stock prices or credit scores. And notice in the diagram how classification separates data into distinct groups, while regression finds relationships between variables. For example, moving to the middle, unsupervised learning works with unlabeled data. It's like letting the model discover patterns on its own. And for example, the clustering example and the diagram shows how it can automatically grow similar customers or investment behaviors without predefined categories. And this is particularly powerful in market segmentation and anomaly detection even. And the third type, which is reinforcement learning, shown on the right, because it learns through interaction with an environment. And for example, you can imagine a trading algorithm that learns optimal strategies by making decisions and receiving feedback on their outcomes. And the diagram shows this continuous loop of action and feedback and also state updates that allows the model to improve over time. And now let me guide you through this comprehensive toolkit of AI techniques that are improving financial services. And for example, this visual represents what I consider to be the essential machine learning methods in our industry today. For example, starting with the fundamentals, linear regression and logistic regression serve as our foundational tools. And linear regression helps us predict continuous values like market prices or portfolio returns, while, for example, logistic regression is particularly powerful for binary outcomes such as credit approval decisions. And for example, I've seen these methods deliver remarkable accuracy despite their relative simplicity. And moving to more sophisticated techniques, for example, decision trees and Gaussian mixture models add layers of complexity that help us handle nonlinear relationships in financial data. For example, decision trees excel at creating transparent landing criteria that can be easily explained to regulators, while Gaussian mixture models, for example, help us understand complex market distributions. And artificial neural networks represent a quantum leap in capability also, because these deep learning systems can identify subtle patterns in vast amounts of financial data, making them invaluable for tasks like, for example, high-frequency trading or risk assessment. And what fascinates me about neural networks is their ability to adapt to changing market conditions in real time. And on the analytical side, principal component analysis also helps us reduce the dimensionality of complex financial data sets, while, for example, anomaly detection systems serve as our first line of defense against fraud. And also support vector machines and k-means clustering and round out our toolkit, offering, say, powerful solutions for classification and market segmentation respectively. Next slide. And on this slide, I want to paint a picture of how AI evolution is reshaping financial services in ways we could hardly imagine just a few years ago. And let me share some possibilities that are emerging on the horizon. What we are witnessing is not just incremental change, but transformative disruptions across multiple sectors. For example, look at these icons on the screen. Each represents a potential revolutionary shift in how financial services operate. And for example, from the death of traditional deposit accounts to the rise of tokenized liquid assets, these changes are not just theoretical, but they are beginning to materialize. And for example, the disruption patterns we are seeing today, they suggest that AI will alter how we think about banking, insurance, and even investment management. And for example, in my experience working with financial institutions, I have observed that those who embrace these changes early are really positioning themselves to thrive in this new landscape. And for example, let's go through some specific examples of these disruptions that I find particularly compelling. And each of these scenarios represents a potential future states that financial institutions need to prepare for. And I believe understanding these possibilities is crucial for everyone looking to succeed in the financial services sector. And now let me share an intriguing vision of how AI could revolutionize personal banking as we know it. For example, looking at this comparative diagram, I will explain the fundamental shift we are anticipating in how people manage their money. For example, in the current state, as you can see in the upper portion of the slide, when you deposit money, let's say your paycheck, it sits in deposit account, and you need to make manual decisions about allocating it between, for example, debt payments, savings, and daily expenses. And this process is inefficient and often leads to suboptimal financial outcomes. And now, look at the future state in the lower portion. Here's where AI transforms everything, because imagine your money flowing through AI-powered wealth manager that automatically optimizes every dollar in real time. And the system would intelligently distribute your funds across debt reduction or investments and even daily expenses without requiring your constant attention. And this isn't just about automation, it represents a fundamental shift in how we think about banking. So in my view, this could eventually lead to the death of traditional deposit accounts as we know them. And the key difference is that your money would never sit idle. For example, it would be continuously working for you, maximizing returns while ensuring your financial needs are met. And now let me share a vision of how AI is transforming the insurance industry from a reactive to proactive service. And this diagram illustrates what I call the lines of defense approach that represents the future of insurance. Well, in the traditional model, insurers primarily acted as funders of last resort, essentially waiting for something bad to happen before stepping in. But look at how AI enables a much more sophisticated and multi-layered approach to protection. Let's go through these layers. The outermost layer represents risk prevention and advisory services. And imagine your insurance AI system detecting that you've left a window open during a rainstorm, for example, and sending you a real-time alert. And this is prevention in action, something where couldn't be effectively before AI. And moving inward, we have proactive policy augmentation. Well, the system might notice you are in an area where hurricane season is approaching and suggest adding flood coverage before it's too late. And this represents a shift from reactive to predictive insurance. And at the core, we still have traditional claims and recovery, but even this is transformed. AI cannot detect water damage, for example, in your basement through connected sensors and automatically initiate the claims process, depositing funds before you even notice the problem. And concerning this transformation, this is how it changes the relationship between insurers and their customers from adversarial to truly protect. And now let's go through a transformative shift in how insurance claims processing could evolve using AI technology. And this comparative diagram illustrates both the current state and future version of claims handling. In today's world, as shown on the top flow, the process is quite linear but inefficient because a customer buys insurance, experiences loss, files a claim, and then begins what can become a lengthy back and forth verification process before receiving payment. And I've seen countless cases where this traditional approach leads to delays and frustration for both insurers and customers. And now look at the future state below. The key innovation here is the introduction of a central fraud utility powered by AI. For example, when a claim is filed, it's immediately routed through this utility, which acts as a sophisticated clearinghouse. And what makes this system particularly powerful is its ability to leverage external data sources and a central analytics engine. And the utility can instantly cross-reference claims against weather data. For example, social media posts, historical partners, and other third-party information to validate claims in real time. And for example, you can think of it as a shared intelligence network that benefits the entire insurance ecosystem, because this means legitimate claims can be processed much faster, while fraudulent ones are caught more effectively. And now let me share with you a traditional happening in wealth management. For example, where AI is improving how individual investors interact with financial markets. And first of all, let's compare the current and future state shown on this diagram. In today's model, as you can see in the top portion, retail investors typically access markets through wealth managers who pool their money into general funds. And these funds can invest in various securities with returns flowing back through multiple layers, each taking their fees. And this creates what I call the one-size-fits-all or one-size-fits-many approach that doesn't truly solve individual investor needs. And now look at the future state below. Here's where AI changes everything, because through an algorithm-driven platform, each individual retail investor can have direct access to investment securities and effectively creating their own personalized fund, what we call a fund of one. And this eliminates the need for intermediary general funds and traditional wealth managers as well. And now let's go through a transformation that's happening in alternative assets market, where AI and blockchain technology are breaking down traditional barriers to investment. And this diagram illustrates both the current landscape and also future state. And for example, in today's world, as shown on the top section, accessing alternative assets like infrastructure or private equity or real estate simply requires navigating through multiple layers of intermediaries. And for example, you have sales people and traders handling price discovery, or brokers and agents managing information flow, creating what I call a friction-file journey from capital sources to investment opportunities. And now look at the future state below. For example, the transformation is remarkable because we're seeing the emergence of a direct pathway between capital sources and alternative assets. And this is made possible by two groundbreaking technologies working in tandem, which are an AI-based price discovery engine and a tokenized information exchange. And the AI agent revolutionized how we value illiquid assets by analyzing vast amounts of data to provide real-time accurate pricing. That is something that traditionally required extensive human intervention. And meanwhile, the tokenized exchange creates a standardized and transparent marketplace where these assets can be traded as easily as stocks. And concerning this evolution is how it democratizes access to alternative investments. Because whether you are a retail investor or an institutional player, you'll have the same direct access to these previously exclusive asset classes where with the same level of transparency and liquidity. And this is truly a game-changing development in the democratization of finance. And the next one. And now let me share an intriguing vision of how AI could transform the way we think about cash management in the future financial landscape. And this diagram illustrates a sophisticated system where every dollar can work harder for both individuals and businesses. For example, in this future state, we see a bifurcation of cash balances even. Because looking, for example, at the left side, we have what we call low value balances. And these are the funds flowing through e-commerce platforms or payment apps and even prepayment systems. And these are typically transactional in nature, moving frequently between parties. But here's where it gets interesting because you can look at the right side of the diagram. And here we see more substantial balances categorized into excess working capital or deposits and even margin accounts. And what's revolutionary about this system is that AI enables each type of balance to automatically earn returns based on a specific risk profile and usage pattern. And the magical element here is the connection to financial markets at the bottom. For example, through AI-driven systems, every dollar, whether it's sitting in your payment app or your working capital account, is continuously optimized to earn the maximum possible return while maintaining appropriate liquidity for its intended use. And now, let me summarize the key insights we've covered about AI transformative impact on financial services. And I would like to ensure you grasp the magnitude of changes we are witnessing and what they mean for the future of finance. For example, the investment momentum in AI is remarkable because we're seeing over $10 billion being poured into financial services AI application just in 2021. And this isn't merely about automation because it's about reimagining how financial services work. And for example, based on current projections, we're looking at AI unlocking an astounding $1 trillion in value globally by 2030. And what I find particularly is how machine learning is improving our approach to pattern detection of financial data. And for example, through techniques like linear regression or random forest and neural networks, we are uncovering insights that were previously impossible to detect. For example, we are seeing this play out in critical applications like credit scoring or algorithmic trading and even fraud detection. However, I must emphasize that this transformation comes with important challenges. For example, in my experience working with financial institutions, I have observed that data quality or model explainability and even skill gaps remain significant hurdles. And this is why workforce planning and response governance are crucial indeed, because we need to think carefully about how to complement AI capabilities while managing risks around bias or like privacy and cybersecurity. And looking ahead, while the cutting-edge models are showing impressive automation capabilities, I believe that we'll see a measured adoption approach rather than sudden transformation, because the key to success will be focused on specific and high-value applications where AI can deliver, say, tangible benefits. And please remember that understanding these developments isn't just academic. It's crucial for anyone looking to thrive in the evolving financial services landscape. And the future here belongs to those who can effectively harness AI while maintaining robust governance and ethical standards. Well, and we have come up to the next question. Please read the question at the top of the slide carefully and try to select one of the answers. Let's take, say, a couple of minutes for that. Well, I can see your answers. Yes, you're quite right. The correct answer is 3, because it highlights legal, ethical, and reputational risk from potentially biased models. And then we have issues for discussion. So taking into account that we have for about 8 minutes left, I would ask you, I'm not going to switch to the next topic, and I will ask you to select one of the issues, one of the 3 issues, and think about it and write your thoughts on the issue into the chat. And I will review all of them after the class. So we have for about 7 minutes for that. Say 6 minutes and 1 minute to say goodbye.
Professor, I cannot see the questions now.
Yeah, sorry. And now? Is
No,
it
it's
okay
okay.
now?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, great, thank you.